the Mississippi Crop Situation Podcast featuring the Crop Doctors.
Good morning once again from the row crop short course in Starkville, Mississippi. This is Podcast Studio C, as I think what we've affectionately referred to it as. This is our third stop on the podcast here at row crop short course. But this morning we have another one of our platinum sponsors, platinum level sponsors. We have Helm Agro here this morning. We have Tim Ford and Brock Wagner. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Good morning.
Good to see Tim. Known Tim for a long time. I honestly don't know how long I've known Tim. It's been more than a little while. And Brock, I've known Brock for a while too. Actually, when Brock was in school, we did a location of one of his studies. I think ours kind of pooped out, but we had it.
It's still good data, I can tell you that.
We were contributed though. So I guess that was horseweed?
Horseweed, back to mare's tail.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, dude.
Did you say you were in school when you did that one?
No. We were at school. He was in school.
Yeah, that was
he worked for Steckel
15 years ago now.
Yeah, he worked for Steckel.
Yeah,
almost at the very beginning of Jason's career in Stoneville.
Yeah. Long enough ago that horseweed was still a big issue.
That was like the main topic back in those days. Yeah.
Well, we did it in that field out there where the Corteva farm is now, which used to be a horseweed field before it became a ryegrass field. I'll tell you how long ago that was.
Yeah.
That's a while back. All right, so I hijacked this. So, Helm, Tim, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate y'all. I know you got a long drive getting up here, so we appreciate you coming up and spending the week with us. So tell us what Helm has got going on for growers in Mississippi.
So we're glad to be here again this year. I think this is one of the best meetings that we attend. Educationally, you guys do a great job. I see a lot of my Louisiana folks in your room in there. And they say the same thing, that there's so much information that's shared that is good for them to take back and use on their farms or some crop consultants as well. But, Helm, we're a private company. We offer Reviton for burn down. We did a lot of good things with Reviton post-harvest this year as well. So, primarily from a Reviton perspective, it's a newer molecule. It's tiafenacil. It is a good tank mix partner for glyphosate and or clethodim, depending on your weed species. I would like to remind folks that we don't recommend Reviton standalone. We always want to see it go with a pound of glyphosate in the field. We always want to see a good MSO used with this application. And then if you have mare's tail, we like to see an 8 to 12 ounce add of a DGA in there for burn down to make sure we knock the mare's tail out of the way. Otherwise, you'll see that the mare's tail can have a potential to come back. Same thing with ryegrass. We want to catch that ryegrass when it's small. We want to make sure we have good coverage. We want to make sure that we've got the right adjuvant in the tank. And in most cases, we'll kill a lot of the small stuff. The bigger stuff is be kind of like paraquat. It'll bounce back on you if you don't.
In DGA, you mean dicamba, the DGA formulation of dicamba.
Right, a DGA being a little bit better at that time frame. And
what about 2,4-D? Is that
2,4-D is good. It's probably not quite as effective as a tank mix as the dicamba that we've seen in the field. The dicamba seems to do a better job. So if we did the 2,4-D route, we probably wouldn't recommend a lower use rate. Whereas with the dicamba, you can use a lower use rate with Reviton and get good complete kill of all your broadleaf spectrum.
Okay, and the reason I asked, we have dedicated 2,4-D people, and we have dedicated dicamba people in that early burn down timing for various different reasons, why they're dedicated to one or the other. So that was the reason I asked the question.
Right, and so with 2,4-D, we'll still get control, but we just need to be probably at that regular use rate and not a reduced use rate like you would see with the dicamba. So from a cost point perspective, that's probably the reason I say that more in my spiels than anything else. It doesn't have anything to do with one product or the other. You can control the mare's tail with the combination of Reviton and 2,4-D and glyphosate.
I got you.
Yeah, we see that in the Midwest constantly, where 2,4-D is the standard versus dicamba being more of the lesser used one for those burn down applications. So,
weed species, temperature, a lot of those things. So, and back to the coverage, if you're running with an airplane, we recommend 5 gallons per acre. Sometimes they'll want to run 3 gallons from a cost coverage is the key, especially with ryegrass. And then the other thing is last year we didn't have a lot of henbit because we had that massive freeze in December that seems like it killed a lot of the flora off. We're seeing a lot of henbit out there right now. Reviton's biggest strength is, of course, henbit. It's very, very effective on henbit.
And that was going to be my next question. Ryegrass aside, for doing a say Roundup dicamba Reviton, what species is the Reviton really adding to that mixture?
So henbit being probably number one, and that's probably the weed that we'll see the most of. But then, you'll see swinecrest, cutleaf primrose. We've got good activity on those. That goes back to coverage. So these weeds that are hanging out under that, canopy, if you will, that's what we're targeting. So as long as we can get the Reviton on those weeds, we're very effective on those other weeds. And, mare's tail is probably the only weakness that we have. We'll burn it, but we need a little help with mare's tail. If you don't have mare's tail in the field, glyphosate, Reviton, and MSO is a really good mix, taking ryegrass out of the picture.
Yeah, and of course, henbit and swinecrest, probably the two biggest non-ryegrass weeds that we deal with. Like you said, not as big a problem last year because of the weather, but year in and year out, henbit's going to be a solid number 2 for us in that burn down timing.
Yeah, and last year, another thing that came up was termination of corn. So we had some freeze issues. We had some hail issues. Reviton is very good on very small corn, too, by the way, and you don't have the restrictions of plant back. So I know some folks were going with Metribuzin and some other things like that, but we don't have any plant back issues. So that's another thing to consider. Fall post-harvest, we did quite a bit of that work this year. So we have a lot of weeds coming through, the atrazine and whatever else they're running from a herbicide program. So we've seen like Mexican weed, tea weed, and then copperleaf. And Reviton at that time frame is very, very effective on those weeds post. And we run 1.5 ounces with glyphosate at that time frame with MSO.
Well, Brock, what else is going on with Helm? I know y'all got your fingers in a variety of different things.
We do, and so, traditionally we've been a plant protection company, so, working with the herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides, but, we've really been, with a lot of the push that's been going on, and we're, based a family-owned company based out of Hamburg, Germany, so we've been very blessed to have some of the good science that's been going on in the European Union now with increasing, the ability for the plants to be able to do better things with less nutritional aspects and those types of things. And so one of our really good products that we've got coming out is called Uplink. We're very excited about it. So there's a lot of talk around nutrient use efficiency, especially around nitrogen. A lot of people are talking about whether it be reduction of nitrogen, to get this in reducing yields at the same time, or somehow putting nitrogen into the soil. And we're just seeing inconsistent results with that. Whereas you look at Uplink is something that really helps you. We look at, 50 years ago, 50% nitrogen usage was pretty good. We're getting up with the hybrids, with our application technology, we're getting into that 80% usage. And, now we're trying to push that 90, 100% usage, because that's really where the, golden mark is at. And, Uplink helps us get up there. We're seeing this as a product that we've partnered with a company from over in Europe about and bringing it to the United States. And it really helps upregulate that nitrogen. The nitrogen helps us upregulate that nitrogen pathway within the plant, so that it really makes sure that you're not only uptaking the nitrogen, but then utilizing it in a way. So it helps with a lot of different things that way, but really, like I said, nitrogen's the big driver in that, and then it helps upregulate the rest of the plant to be able to better utilize nutrients. And we've seen that not only with the science of it, but we also have genetic data where we're upregulating those genes, we are upregulating those pathways. And then we're seeing that also with the actual, our actual results coming back into it as far as nutrient use efficiency is there. So we have a very good science background within it, not just saying, oh, we think it does this. No, we know it does that, and we're having the proof of that.
Yeah, just to add to that, we kind of nutrigenomics is the new key phrase. And they've mapped this thing out, so they know which genes switch when you make this application of Uplink. We also have another product that's going to be new for this year, and it's registered, and it's called Scion. And it acts a little differently. It's got metabolites and whatnot in it, but Brock, if you could just speak to the Scion.
Yeah, and Scion's a sister product, has some of the same technology within it, just at some different working rates. And really, what it's focused on is, not only the nutrient use efficiency, but it's also focused on plant energy and also that stress mitigation. So again, really kind of the key things when you look at a crop being grown, as you talk to anybody, they always know there's going to be a stress period. There's always times that the plant's going to be stressed with producing energy and using those nutrients. So it really helps kind of bring in the multiple factors into there. And so it's really a great product in the fact that it has 6 different metabolites that have different things that are known to do exactly what they're doing. It's proprietary to Helm. And it's really, we've seen it work on soybeans, we've seen it work on corn, we've seen it work on wheat. We have, again, back going to that nutrigenomics, we know that it works genomically. We know exactly what it's doing. I mean, we've got the studies and we can talk about that all day, but, we're in a few-minute podcast here. So, but it's something that we have the science on, and then we see the results with the not only the data coming out of it, but the yield. So all of these different types of things, it's a very well-versed science background, but at the same time, growers are able to apply it to a lot of different applications, and we're just seeing they're going to really love that opportunity to see how it's impacting their bottom line and increasing their yields.
Those both over-the-top applications?
Those would be both foliar applications with these products. So they'd be kind of the main time part is when we're starting to see that really coming out of that early seedling stage, really starting to go into that full vegetative stage. That's really, the plant's going into that girthing, that bulking up type period is really when we're targeting these application periods for both of these products. Again, they're both doing different things. So again, if you have certain things that you're working with, it fits complementary into it. If you want to replace some of the things that you're doing, again, these can do the same thing. So again, but it really works, and we've seen a lot of good results in that bulking up period. And then at the same time, going into, in a corn application, a tasseling, or going into a reproductive stage when you go into soybeans, or going into flowering for cotton. So all of these different types of things, we've seen that continually because we know the plant is going to do A, B, C, D. We've known that for 50 years, 100 years. Again, we've identified what these metabolites are that do that in all these plants, and applying them at this correct timing is going to help supercharge that plant and upregulate those genes.
Good tank mix components. Have you looked at a bunch of those?
Yeah, we've been putting out with a lot of tank mixes. Again, a lot of herbicides, timing. A lot of fungicide applications. Again, it's been used in Europe for quite a few years now. Some of the technology that's in there, again, it works very well with a lot of everything we've been putting it with. Again, always do a jar test, but at the same time, we've seen it work very well with a lot of different chemistries.
Yeah, the Scion product, I'll be focusing on rice and corn this year. And so rice, it would be pre-flood. And for corn, it would be probably that V6 to V8 application timing window where they're running their herbicide application. The uplink would come a little bit later. And then on soybeans with Scion, that's probably going to be in that early R1 stage.
Y'all tell folks a little bit about Helm, structure-wise, because I know both of y'all, neither one of y'all live in Mississippi. So points of contact, things like that, where can folks go to learn more about the products that Helm has?
So for me, I cover Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. And so I'm the point of contact. My email address is tford@helmagro.com. Our website, where you can learn about all these products, is helmcrop.com. Brock is our agronomist for the U.S., and he can be accessed through me, but he's certainly not scared to take phone calls either. I'll let you give your information out, but my phone number is 318-348-3009. You guys can call anytime.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this podcast from anywhere else in the country, because I know Mississippi State, there's people from Illinois down here at this short course. So, again, we have our contact information for all of our sales agronomists at helmcrop.com. And, again, my name is Brock Wagner, and you can access it at BWAGGONER@helmag.com. And my phone number is area code 618-267-3339. And I look forward to hear calls and can help you with answering questions.
We really appreciate the relationships we have with y'all. We appreciate the sponsorship. We appreciate you being here and your kind words. So, thanks.
Thank you, guys. We enjoy the meeting.
The Mississippi Crop Situation Podcast is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.